yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please
That
say any
FM
negative
Sports Show, you are here.
people
The
say
reason
I'm
you
not,
are
I
here is
can't
because we are
look
going
at the
through
wrong
every
way.
single team in every division, the entire NFL. We're breaking down their entire season, game by game, and letting you know where they are going to finish at the end. We are a little more than halfway as we have started the NFC East now. We did the Commanders. We are now on the Giants. We've brought up the fact that divisional games in the NFC East, they matter. They are pivotal. They're crucial. And a lot of time they're splits because these teams play each other and they play each other hard. Then add in the fact they're sister divisions, if you will, that the two other divisions that they have to play every team in are the NFC West and the AFC East. None of the teams in the NFC East have a very easy schedule. None of this is a walk in the park.
Well, as we said on the Commanders episode 2, nobody ever wins this division twice in a row. So if you're a Giants fan or you're the Giants, you got to feel pretty good about that. You made it to the playoffs last year. No team wins this division twice in a row. So you should have a pretty good feeling that you got a shot to win this division. But if you're in my camp and how I feel about the Giants last year, they had a lot of lucky wins. Any game that could have went either way went in their favor. The football gods were on their side. They didn't look very impressive when they won games. They looked pretty ugly when they lost games. And I just don't think that fortune carries over for another year.
We are with Adam Hulse at Adam Hulse Sports, professional NFL writer at Sportskeeda. They actually faced Dallas first in New York. Dallas being your team. Look, the Giants went 9-7-1 last year. They started off hot. Out of those 9 games, they won 7 of them in the first 9 games. They only lost 2 games in the first 9. Then they just were horrible, which is why it's so surprising to me that people are so up on the Giants. They went 2-5-1 over their last 8 games. And they still won a playoff game. You got to get to the playoffs, and then once you get there, it's a whole new season. Statistically, pretty much middle of the road. They were 15th in offensive points against, 17th in defensive points against, 17th in pass defense. They kind of suck with pass offense. They were 27th. Everybody real high on Daniel Jones, but we know that they had a lot of injuries at wide receiver. We know that they were struggling there. 27th at pass offense, but also 27th at pass defense. The big shining light here, of course, was Saquon Barkley. They were 4th in rushing. Although, to skew that a little bit, they were 31st in rush yards per carry. So 4th overall, but 31st in yards per carry. Interesting dynamic there. Jones finishes out at QB 9, 15 touchdowns through the air, but he adds 7 running in. That is the danger of Daniel Jones, is because he is a fan. I actually do really like to see him pull the ball down. I like watching that guy run. Barkley finishes at RB5. One of the big stats that stood out to me is that they are 30th in first downs. They were 28th in rushing first downs and 21st in passing first downs. They've got a super easy schedule, though. Playoff teams, they only face Green Bay. They face Dallas, Minnesota. They played, who is a playoff team. But other than that, their schedule was really easy last year. This year, we're going to find out if it's as easy. I don't think it is. I'm sure you probably have a lot to say on the Giants being a Dallas fan.
I said a lot of it at the top of the show. They definitely had fortune on their side. A lot of that I actually give to the head coach, Brian Daboll, who I really like a lot. I think he brought out the best in Daniel Jones. I think he brought a toughness to the team that they needed. So I am high on Daboll. But again, the Giants, are they going to get as lucky this year? You pointed out they went 2-5-1 down the stretch. And, you said they still won a playoff game, but did they really win that playoff game? Or did the Vikings just completely lose and lay an egg in that playoff game? So
that would be the way I would call it. Minnesota's secondary, absolutely horrible.
That was more of a Vikings loss than a Giants win, in my opinion.
The big thing that stands out to me is that they won 7 of the first 9. Then they go 2-5-1 over the last 8 and still made the playoffs. That's the stat that stands out to me. I think that's a big telling tale for the entire NFC.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's more a testament to how bad the NFC is in compared to the AFC. The conference as a whole is pretty weak and it's pretty top heavy. After the top couple of teams in the NFC, there's a huge drop off in how good the teams are after that, and that's how the Giants still got in my opinion.
Yeah, only 9 wins, only 1 game ahead of the Commanders, and they win a playoff game. Just, that's the NFL. That's why they play the game. It's week 1. Dallas coming to New York. I don't think it matters that it's a home game. I don't think it matters that it's a divisional game. It's the first one of the season. Yes, everybody's shaking off the rust. Dallas wins this game.
Yeah, I'm picking Dallas in this game as well. And what feels like the annual week 1 Sunday night Giants versus Cowboys, right? All the time in primetime week 1. They're doing it again this year, and I'm giving the Cowboys a win.
On to week 2. We get a little run here because the Giants play 3 teams in the NFC West. The Giants play 3 of their 4 NFC West games in week 2, 3, and 4. So we've already talked about these games. At Arizona in week 2, I gave the Giants the loss. You said the Giants were going to lose that game, that Arizona was actually going to beat the Giants. That's the amount of faith the Adam Hulse has in the Giants' overall organization, of the overall picture. At San Francisco in week 3, we both gave the Giants the loss. And in week 4, I still have the Giants on a 4-game losing streak, but you went ahead and said the Giants could beat Seattle because it was a home game.
That kind of shows, I think, how I think the Giants are kind of a weird team, right? I have them losing to Arizona and beating Seattle. Now, Arizona, if you go back and listen to that episode of the Cardinals, there weren't many wins at all on that entire Cardinals schedule, the Giants being one of them, because, I mean, I'm not going to have the Cardinals go 0-17, so the Giants at home is a game maybe they could win, but then, the Giants play a team like Seattle, which I think Seattle is a much better team than the Giants, but traveling all the way across the country to play the game in New York, that's the kind of game the Giants can win, and this is just another testament to what we keep talking about on these episodes. It's not just who's the better team, the schedule matters. Who you play, where you play, and when you play are all very important factors, not just who's better.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that Seattle game. I actually think that could be a good game because it's in New York, but that's really the only reason is because it's in New York. For that little NFC run, weeks 2 through 4, I gave them 1 win. You gave them 1 win. They were just different games. We have the Giants at 1 win going into week 5 at Miami. The Giants are so hard to call because they're not a great team. Again, they started off so hot last year. Right now, we don't have them starting off so hot. They're going to Miami. 2 is the question every time. Giants go to Miami in week 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say about Miami what I said similarly in the Washington episode, in that, yes, Tua's health is extremely important for their season outlook as a whole. In a game at home against the Giants, even if Tua's hurt, I think they can beat the Giants without him because the rest of their roster, in my opinion, is so much better than the rest of the Giants roster. So give me the Dolphins either way.
Giving the Dolphins the win. That's going to be a game that's, I'm not comfortable with that one either way. Both of us giving Miami the win.
I'm sensing a theme here with you and the Dolphins. You seem to be picking them to win a lot, but very begrudgingly picking them to win.
I want to get to this Miami because I'm interested in how I'm picking this Miami. Because again, we do this live. You guys don't know, the game comes up, we pick it, we move on. We don't have this laid out. We're not looking at the picks unless we've already talked about that game in a previous episode. So yeah, those Miami games are really, really getting to me. Giants go to Buffalo for week 6. Not much of a road game, but it is a road game. It is Buffalo. I don't know if Buffalo's as strong as people want to make them out to be either. Josh Allen's fantastic. Diggs is fantastic. I worry about the running game a little bit. Look, Buffalo backed it up last year, and so there's really not a lot of reason to have lowered faith in Buffalo at this point. They haven't really given you a reason to discredit them in any aspect, to be honest.
Honestly, the feel I'm getting around the NFL is that a lot of people are actually down on the Bills this year. Now, by down, everyone still has them as a playoff team, but the last couple of years, they've been like, a very popular Super Bowl type of pick. I'm not really seeing much of that this year. A lot of people feeling worse about the Bills this year than they have the last couple of years. I'm actually the opposite. I don't see any reason to be any lower on the Bills. Like, if you loved them last year, why wouldn't you love them this year? It's pretty much the same team coming back. They still made it to the playoffs again last year. They won a playoff game for the 3rd year in a row last year. There's a lot of reason to like the Bills. And at home against the Giants, though this is, I guess, the Brian Daboll revenge game, I don't think that's enough to get the Giants to win. Give me the Bills big in this one.
Like that you say, give me the Bills big. I'm actually going to give the Giants the win because of Daboll. And that's I didn't know if you were going to go there. And I kind of should have expected that you would because you are Adam Hulse. I think he knows the other side of the ball. I think he knows what to exploit. I don't know if he can get his team to do it, but I'm actually going to give Giants the win at Buffalo. Washington in week 7. We already talked about this one. Again, we split because of the divisional game, the divisional aspect of it. I gave the Giants a loss. You said the Giants were going to beat Washington in week 7. 7, and then it's the Jets. Then I think San Francisco is a game to watch. I think we're both pretty lopsided that San Francisco wins. I think Seattle is a game to watch, and we actually split there. The Jets, the new look Jets with Aaron Rodgers, and we kind of brought this up in the last episode, should be a much better team.
Yeah, I mean, they were the team last year that it seemed like they had all the pieces in place that they needed except for the quarterback, right? They had some of the worst quarterback play in the entire NFL last year, and they still were kind of in that mix to possibly be a wild card team, and then they went on that long losing streak at the end. Now they have a quarterback. They should be a lot better this year. I just think top to bottom, when you look position by position, minus maybe running back. I mean, what are the Giants better at the Jets then? The Jets are pretty much better just straight across the board, so I'm taking the Jets.
I am also taking the Jets. Week 9 at Las Vegas. Las Vegas is going to be another one of those teams that we're going to really have to talk about when we get there. They have a better quarterback. They've got a fantastic receiver. They got the league's leading rusher, and yet people are probably down on them. Again, I don't want to talk too much about Las Vegas, but it's Giants. They're at Las Vegas. I'm actually giving the Giants the win.
If the game was in New York, maybe I'd like the Giants to win, but I'm going to take Las Vegas to win, despite this one being the Darren Waller revenge game.
I don't know if that matters as much.
Probably doesn't matter. And you know what? Maybe it doesn't matter so much because of who's throwing him the football.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Daniel Jones is actually why I give the Giants the win. I see him pulling down the ball. I see him running, giving his team a chance. I do believe Saquon's going to play this year. I think there'll be enough to take out Las Vegas.
Look, I mean, the game's in Las Vegas, which, like I said, that definitely matters with the time zone difference. And I mean, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. Like, I don't know how many people are on each side of this, but in my opinion, Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. So the Raiders have the better quarterback too. I mean, if I could take one of them to lead my team this year, assuming Garoppolo can stay healthy, give me Garoppolo.
I think Jones is a better runner, but yeah, overall, I agree. I think Garoppolo is probably a better leader. That might be
I mean, look, let's not forget too that before Daniel Jones just got this big contract extension because of his strong season, the Giants decided not to pick up the 5th-year option on his contract. They were basically ready to move on from the guy, which tells you all you need to know about the start of his career. Showed a lot of promise, obviously, last year in his first year with Dayball, but, let's not crown Daniel Jones yet. He's only really had that 1 year. His rookie year was okay, too, but, again, the Giants were basically ready to move on from him.
Thank you. I mean, that's really kind of my whole overstatement with the Giants is they're not as good as you want them to be. They go to Dallas in week 10. I'm giving Dallas the sweep. I'm sure you probably are.
I'm giving Dallas the sweep as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Better across the board. Give me the Cowboys.
But it's a divisional game. Look, don't be surprised to see a split here because that's what this division does.
Agree.
Week 11 at Washington. We already gave the Giants the loss, actually, because it was at Washington, but we say the Giants lose at Washington. Again, look for splits here. I gave Washington the sweep against the Giants as well. Yeah, I did.
I don't see the Commanders winning too many games. You can go back and listen to that episode and see how many, but a split with a team like the Giants, I think, is possible. And again, that's more of a testament to what I'm saying about the Giants too, right? I think it's more likely that the Commanders split with the Giants than the Giants splitting with the Cowboys.
Week 12 in New England. That's what makes this one a harder pick for me, is that it's in New England. I'm actually not sure what I'm going to pick in this one. How are you feeling when the Giants go to New England?
Oh, what an ugly game, right? Yeah, this is a tricky one to pick because I don't particularly like either of these two teams. With New England being at home, I am going to favor that way. For one, like I just said, them being at home. For two, the Giants rely a lot on running the ball. That's kind of like the design of their offense. I think Belichick will have something in store for that, especially at home. They shut down the run game and force Daniel Jones to be a passer. Just give me the Patriots.
We've said this in other episodes. It's like you stare at my notes sometime. It's Belichick. I think in week 12, he has to have something figured out at the quarterback situation by then. I like the New England defense. I also give New England the win. But like you said, ugly game. Week 13 is a bye, and then it's Green Bay. Green Bay, one of those teams that we've kind of been struggling with Love. We've given the Giants a lot of losses here, and maybe deservedly so. Like I said, I don't think they're as good as people want them to be. It's at home. Green Bay is coming to New York. I feel like we've given Green Bay a lot of losses as well, not knowing what we're going to get out of Jordan Love. I'm kind of stuck on this one.
Now, I kind of think that Green Bay is going to finish with a better record than the Giants when the season's all said and done.
Like a lot of teams will.
Probably because they're in an easier division than the Giants are in. I think that has a lot to do with it. But this particular game, it's in New York, and the Giants are coming off of a bye. Both of those two factors pretty important here. And with that being said, I am going to take the Giants in. Is this a mini upset? Maybe not. You know, like, who's going to be favored in this kind of game? But either way, I'll take the Giants.
It is after the bye week. Something's just, I don't want to give the Giants all these. Man, this one's so tough for me. You give the Giants the win. I want to come back to this one, but I'm not going to. All right, I'll give the Giants the win. I'll give the Giants the win. Let's just go. Week 15 at New Orleans. I gave the Giants the win at New Orleans. You gave the Giants the loss because it's in New Orleans. We both thought New Orleans was going to do pretty well. Definitely go back and check out the New Orleans episode. It's pretty good and a little surprising.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of divisions and schedules, the Saints have a pretty favorable schedule and division, and we know they're always tough at home. They always play, you know, their games great in that dome. That's a tough ask for the Giants, so that's why I went Saints.
This gets interesting. I'm going to shoot ahead by 1 week just to finish it off because we've already talked about the NFC West. In week 17, they play the Rams. I gave the Giants the loss. You gave the Giants the win against the Rams. I think Cooper Kupp shows up, and you just don't think that it's enough, and we're not sure about Stafford's health. So week 17, we split.
One of those cross-country situations, and that's likely why I favored the Giants.
The reason I shoot ahead to week 17 is because the Giants have to play divisional game against Philly in week 16 and in week 18. Now, normally I would give this a split.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we talked a lot about, you know, how competitive the NFC East is year after year. These teams like to beat up on each other. We keep saying, you know, no team wins this division twice in a row. But the way this schedule is played out and where I have the Giants right now, these games are going to mean nothing to the Giants. They're way out of playoff contention on my schedule and the way I've broken it down. Philly, on the other hand, will likely be playing for something, whether it be a division race with the Cowboys or seeding in the NFC playoff picture. The games will mean something to Philly, not to the Giants, so I'll give the Eagles the sweep.
I also have the Eagles getting the sweep, which means I have the Giants getting swept by everybody in their division, which probably won't happen. If we're looking at stats, we're looking at history, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I gave the Giants one win in the division, but when you look at the history of the NFC East, they're probably going to win more than one game in this division, but we'll see how it all plays out.
I believe I have the Giants at 5 wins. I think you have them at 4.
Yep.
Again, maybe a little low. You admit yourself maybe a little biased because this is your division. You are a Dallas person. Not a lot of love for the Giants, but we both agree this team does seem to be a little confused. I don't even know, who's playing, who's coming back. I want money. Who deserves more money? A lot of off the field stuff. Wide receiver room is a big question. Defense wasn't that fantastic in the first place. I think these records are a little closer than maybe the Washington predictions. Maybe a little under because maybe we're underestimating those divisional matchups. 5 wins for me, 4 wins for you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, 4 wins is low, but I'm okay with it. I mean, as I keep pointing out with the Giants, anything that could have went either way last season went the Giants' way. All those, games that came right down to the wire, they found a way to win all of them. I don't see that happening again this year. And if they really went 50-50 like they quote unquote should have last year, they probably only would have won like 6 games anyway. So dropping from like 6-ish to 4-ish is really not that huge of a drop off.
I suppose not. 9 wins last year, not as many wins this year. Where are they going to finish in the division? How's everybody else going to do? I think we all agree Philly and Dallas are going to do better. We're going to see how it all plays out though as we go team by team, division by division. We're giving you records for every single team. We're doing it with Adam Hulse, professional NFL writer for Sportskeeda at Adam Hulse Sports. This is That Effin' Sports Show. Wherever you get your podcast, watch us on YouTube. However you want to do it, you can listen to us. Keyword EFIN. Dallas is up next. Adam's hot. He's ready. He's jumping in his seat. Cowboys. We're doing it all next. We'll see you next one.
A slow burn like a